Welcome everyone to the Blueprint for Peace for Humanity. This is day 6, the morning session for Monday, July 10th, 2017. And this is a production of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. I believe we're ready with Mr. Keshe for today's activities. Are you there, Mr. Keshe, ready to go?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever you listen to the teachings of these knowledge seekers programs, as usual. I've been asked to explain a few things about these teachings. We started this 1-month course of teaching, or what you call knowledge seeking and enlightening, and any other form you would like to put it. We taught the teachings in the private section, and then we came from different part of the teaching, especially in the nanotechnology and every other aspects on weekly based teaching. About 3 years ago, we decided to teach some people directly that they could carry on with the process of teaching in the future. And we see people like Arman stayed behind and became part of the foundation. We started a second course of people, which with that, we went into more conceptual basis, foundation of the knowledge of the creation and in the different state of matter. And we taught that privately for 3 months, which has become a backbone of all the teachings of the KF SSI regarding a lot of knowledge. There, in the first course, the first time, I taught on a daily basis for 1 year to handful of people. Then in the second part, the teaching, or second year, the teaching was more to about a handful of people, but on a private teaching, where all the teachings for 3 months, relentlessly for 5 days a week was done. And as I said, it's become the backbone of a lot of teachings. There's a lot of knowledge, every day new knowledge added. These are all the matter states we had to cover, the condition of the creation of the matter and the rest of it. In the process of development and the knowledge, we came to the point sometime last year, mid last year, where it was clear there are a large number of people who have understood the totality and the full concept of the technology. Thousands of people were ready and could understand the totality. Knowing that there was a lot of private teaching going on, new addition of knowledge was coming in by others who understood more, and a large number of people around the world start seeing effect and conditions which they were getting into in respect to production of the gas and the fields of the gas. At that point last year, we decided to take the teaching into the next step, which separated the totality of man's knowledge plus what we added in the last 3 years to the dimension of the knowledge of the universe. What does this mean? Means in space we do not need, we do not understand, we do not copy materials. We create life out of fields. We create life, entity, any matter state we like out of fields of magnetic and gravitational strength, depending on the position and depending on the strength. So if something of a given gravitational magnetic field, the strength, was visible at a given strength, in another environmental strength becomes invisible. This is what man has not understood. Then it became more and more clear in the last 3 months, 4 months, by teaching about soul once a week, trying to connect, make connections in the public teachings between the soul, which is again the fields of the environment, of the creation, to the matter state, where the body of the man or anything else in a given matter plasma condition converts itself to the matter state in respect to the environment is given. This has been important. So we brought the knowledge in past 3 years, 4 years, from a matter state that we all had understanding to the position to understand the matter itself is created out of fields. This is what the teaching has been since Christmas. In past 4 months, 5 months, I built it up very, very gradually, very slowly, on Thursdays, by referring a little bit and adding more the next week and adding more next week, to show what we were used to up to now, where we took the matter state into the field, now understanding the interaction of the fields without need for physicality. This is and has been one of the biggest problem for people, because up to now you could see the GANs, up to now you could see the nanomaterial. For centuries we have touched, we know. We never went to understand the next step. We call it a feeling, but now we understand the feeling has a measurement. It's like a hot and a cold water. You touch it, you feel it, it burns you, it gives you joy. This is one of the biggest problem in this evolution of the science for many of you. The fear of the truth, the fear of understanding what to us was nothing to be understood, we knew was there, has become a huge problem for a lot of people. On the other hand, a lot of people are rejoicing that they can break into the next level. Now they have opened their eyes to a dimension which to them knew is there, they could do things with it, but they could not physically, tangibly, without anything else, confirm its existence. The world of science, in the present time, if you look at the MRIs and other methods, can pinpoint when the feeling is happening, what feeling, what communication in that part of the brain is. But it cannot go back where this communication coming from. Now we have the technologies in the world of science where we can say which part of the brain is functioning to what capacity. But the step next is where this information comes from. How does it translate for such a point in the brain of the man comes to operation? We always consider that we take everything out of the center, which came from somewhere, and we accepted it. It comes from somewhere, we call it emotion. It comes from somewhere, we call it a feeling. It comes from somewhere, we know it's there because I feel sad, I cry. But how does the feeling of sadness comes from? Where is the energy for it come from? Where is essence comes from? Why do I suddenly feel cold where somebody else is hot? Why do I have a fear when nobody else has? And why am I lonely in this feeling? So we understood a lot. But what is strange is we've seen a lot of these things we couldn't explain. We've seen a lot of effects and we could not explain. Now we can. Now, in a coming time, and what we have started, we can measure. We can measure everything. We are free to measure everything. We have the pleasure to be able, because now we have passed the point where now we deal with the fields which create these conditions in our brain. One of the biggest problems for us has been that because we feed ourselves with physicality, we never understood that in the process of feeding ourselves with physicality, we have created a condition where we absorb from the environment of our life huge amount of energy which we did not aware of. we totally ignored this part of our creation. This is the step which is frightening a lot of people. This is the step which a lot who do not want to cross, because they think it has not to be touched, because it's something, we gave it a lot of names, but we prefer not to touch it because we think we are not ready. Human race is ready for everything at this moment. Just because a few do not feel comfortable does not mean the rest have to stop. But with this new knowledge, what we have gained, especially in past few months, in past few weeks, we learn one thing. What we call the emotion now can change our physical behavior. So in so many ways, we have become aware that the new knowledge we have gained about what we call the essence, the source of our creation, can change our behavior direct. So we become responsible for our behavior, for what up to now we didn't know what it was. We become responsible to become man of peace, because now we know what is the level of being at peace. We want to be in a position, we are teachers, we teach the others alphabet, physics or whatever. Now that we have found this essence, we become the teachers of understanding the structure of the interaction of the fields which lead to our behavior. But what we could not and we did not understand was that our behavior and the fields which creates that behavior comes from the environment we live in. We do not eat food to grow. Our brain grows according to the growth of our physicality that it can meet. Where we always thought the brain is dead, it grows somehow. The essence and expansion and increase in the physical side dictates the growth of the brain. It fits into it to be able to handle it. The brain of a child growth is not just that the brain grows. The feeling of the physicality creates certain amount of fields, information or a strength that through operation of the heart leads to demand for more energy which can control the physicality. We call it through the brain. So what we assume that our brain, as the brain grows, it leads to creation of the physicality, is absolutely totally reverse. We see this in many, many cases. We see this in the position of many, many people who have grown or are growing in the physical dimension, but the brain does not go along accordingly with it, because the right strength, the right information has not been asked for or passed on to what we call the source, that I have gone through a phase, so brain needs to grow with it, that it follows the behavior. In some cases is the reverse. The strength which is created leads to creation of the brain cells or the physicality which cannot match the structure of the brain, and the brain cannot reproduce. So the brain goes in a mayhem of creation, thinking the physicality is going to follow, but like that it doesn't follow, because the switchover in part of the physical part information has not been carried. We call these at this moment of time a genetic defect. Genetic defect does not exist. In so many ways, once man understands more about the interaction of the fields which physically structures and orders the strength of the brain to be produced, that the brain absorbs energy from the environment where it is, and not through the feeding of the body of the man. As I've said, go back to years of teaching. Now we can bring it in. Now maybe those who understand, now you listen, you will come to understand what was said 3-4 years ago. The physicality of the man is a leech on top of the brain of the man. It's attached itself to it, because through it, it finds the operational system, but it has nothing to do with it. And this existence of what we call the brain of the man, which leads to the essence of the creation of the physicality, has been the biggest misinformation, misreading for man. And this has caused a lot of misunderstanding. If you look at it, it's very simple. The brain, what we call, once is created by its interaction to the physical structure of the man, creates neurosystem to respond in its interaction with the, what we call, physical dimensions of this planet. So what we see and what will come very apparent to a lot of you as we are teaching now in next few weeks is the following. Once the demand on the brain is done, then the neural system builds up, because it has to interact. The gaseous part of the entity with the matter part needs to connect. And in trying to connect in the features from it, leads to a very interesting thing, which is the blood circulation and the physicality of the man. Now we understand. So in fact, when the essence of creation is embedded in the center of the body of the man, which is in the brain, and with it the, what we call, the brain starts, or the interaction of what we call the soul of the man with the environment, absorbs energy that it leads to its own creation from inside the womb of the mother, and in respect to what it has decoded itself, in trying to create a condition to be in touch with its matter state, which is holding to it or is attracting to it, which is another physical dimension, field interaction, it leads to creation of neurosystem, that communication can be kept. And to keep that line of communication open, the physicality takes shape. This is the part where the man becomes the man of this planet. Our soul, in interaction with the field environment of the womb of the mother, creates the physical strength to reduce its strength to be able to interact with its environment, leading to creation of the physicality. And then as the neural system is created to keep, it's like a, if you look at it like a thunder from the top, trying to connect the gaseous part of the existence with the matter and liquid part of the existence, leads the body, physical body, to be constructed around it that it can interact. So if you understand this, it becomes very simple how in different points of this planet we get different features. Because the gravitational magnetic field of the, what you call, the soul which started in respect to this environment and the field of the environment, dictates how the neural system will take shape, and in that respect the matter side or physical part will follow through. It creates the shape of the man, the color of the eye of the man, and everything else to go with it. So in a sense, by bringing certain amount of ganses that they can interact, we set the line, or what we call the beginning of a center sharing between the two, which itself then leads to creation of and completion of the existence of what we call the soul of the man. This part of understanding gives man a lot of new options. Now we understand the energy of the environment is what dictates how our physicality is created, how our physicality becomes controlled by, in fact, this little chap. Because how this soul which we have created, or central control we have created in radiating fields out, and at the same time accepting fields in, dictates what we can do and how it be done. So in a step in a space, now we understand that is the essence, the center of the energy, what we call the soul, or what we should call our true existence. Now in its interaction with its environment dictates the shape. So if we can access, if we can understand this, then we can do something very simple. And that is, we use this in a essence to
Hello, hello, Mr. Keshe. We lost Mr. Keshe briefly. Okay, it usually just takes half a minute or so for Mr. Keshe to come back here. We'll probably have a few breaks during this broadcast, apparently, due to the local conditions.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Hello.
yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we're running two systems simultaneously. If one falls out, we can rely on the other. So what we've seen till the screen comes back on. So what we understand with this new knowledge, which we have got, is that now we decide our shape. We can decide our color. We can decide on the strength of what we have. Once we understand how to handle it, how we're going to look according to the space we appear. Now we understand what the soul means. Soul means I respect the environment I live in according to what I carry, and I manifest this myself according to the environment. In the physical sense, we call it emotion. In the dimension of the universe, we call it representation. We represent ourselves, we manifest ourselves in the shape according to the environment. In essence, we are still, let's say, we are like a water. We come in a different environmental condition, it becomes the steam. We change the environment, cool it, it becomes ice. But in essence, it's never changed. It's the same thing. So this is what is going to create mayhem with a lot of. And it's my job to make sure not to be afraid of the change. Not to be afraid of the understanding, because now it takes time. It took man thousands of years to understand how to master the use of metals, how to master the use of gas, how to master the use of environment to the advantage to have what he needs. Now man has to learn how to master himself, the essence of his own creation. There is nothing new. We've done this for millions of years. And in our lives, we have done and we do this on regular basis. We feel shy. We go to an environment. We clothe ourselves in different shape or form. We come to another point. We do different things. But in essence, it's all us. It does not change you if you go into North Pole and put a fur coat on, or go on the beach and go with a bikini. It still is the same man. Now we have to learn that the game of the understanding has changed. The game of understanding has changed in a way that is us who is the man, and now we can manifest ourselves not with the fur coats, or with something else. But we understand that we can manifest ourselves in respect to feel the strength of the environment we are in. This is what is shocking to a lot of you. This is what's going to bring a lot of position for you, a lot of new understanding. And all it needs to be is, how do we do, where do we go now? How do we understand the change in such a position where now we can dictate our own physicality? On this planet, we cannot change much because its gravitational magnetic field force dictates the condition. We are in this environment. But don't forget where I started and where my teaching started. We are taking man into the universal community. And this is where the teaching comes in. Where all this teaching is for. To explain that this is what's going to happen. And when you come to it, you are well educated to know how to handle it. In the deep space of what you call in the universe, there are no schools of teaching how to do and what is going to be. We are teaching now that once we open the doors of universal community and man takes into space according to the gravitational magnetic field position of his soul and the environment he chooses anywhere in the universe, he understands how he will manifest it. He has full control over it. And this is important. This is what we need to understand. This is what, in so many ways, if you look at it, when you go to NASA, what do? You go in as a fresher. You go in as somebody, I want to be an astronaut. They train you. They teach everything to you. And then when you are ready, they put you in the clothes of the spaceman and they test you and they teach you in tanks, in water tanks and everything else. And then you go into the next level of understanding what this means. What does this do? How do I behave when I'm wearing these clothes? What are the limitations of what are called the environment of the spaceship or whatever space unit I'm in? Now is that period for man. Instead of training 1 or 2 and in a pool and with all the things of a spacesuit, we are teaching man the spacesuits of universe. This is what is creating a lot of problem for a lot of you. If I didn't do that, if I didn't bring it out this way, it would have been hard. Then we had to set the course teaching so many people in so many different ways. With the present knowledge and the communication tools in our hands, we can teach direct. We can teach masses. The last time these kind of teaching, excuse me, Rick, can you open my other channel that I can use my board, please? Now we can see, we can teach masses in one go. We don't need to go to teach one that becomes prophet and then the other one becomes bunch of people, followers and the rest of it. With the present tool of communication with man, we have assessed and it's time to take man as a whole in a large numbers into the next step. You got to understand, the teaching is for man to understand. Now he has a new tool. He is responsible for his own physical manifestation. He is responsible for his own conduct. And because now he can set the conduct according to the strength of his field, he can become man of peace. Because if his thought is peaceful. Up to now, we made armies and guns and we fought to dictate what we believe in. If we believed in communism, we pushed it the way we like with the armies and takeovers. If we believe we are very correct and we are free, We made armies and we tried to force our way for whatever reason. Now, we don't need arms. The arm of the man, the tool for the peace, is understanding the strength of the soul of the man. Now, the expansion of the understanding is very simple. Now you understand why we started the peace process. If many of you, as we put through, understand what is going on and what is about to happen, you understand these open teachings of the past few days and what to come, is the beginning of the introduction of the man to universal community. Many of you are looking for, as I said, a few men to go up the few stairs, but in fact we are walking the man up the stairs of the peace of the universe. The more I can teach in the next few weeks, all of you, to understand that it's not just the GANs, it's not just learning how the fields go, but it's understanding of what is about to come. We took one gun, one man, and we put thousands of men next to each other. We made armies, and then with armies, we tried to dictate what we, or people who put the armies together, to dictate their ways. Now we are putting the souls together, souls are peaceful, and now that you understand, you can expand the dimension of the structure of physicality of the man according to the present time. As the wish of the man is peace, the extension of the soul of the man will cover the planet. This is the beauty of what is come and is to come. I'm teaching in two fronts in past 5 or 6 days. I could teach this in private teaching, but then I would have created a bunch of elites which would have used the others in the time to come. I teach so publicly, is listened by millions of people, and in the time to come, what we teach and understood, no one can say this was this or somebody else, or he was said this or it needs correction. I leave my voice as a fingerprint that no one can doubt, no one can say. You read according to your understanding. But the essence of opening these teachings this way and adding to it the peace is to understand that the soul of the man is ready to expand, to understand, and with this understanding is ready to join the universal community. Not much a step left. In so many ways, what I thought in past 6 days has brought man forward by millions of years. Many of you will understand and will join the next generation, the next cycle of the man of universe. Many of you will decide it's not for me, my comprehension is not there to be the man of the space. It will be respected. But now, as we say, the cat is out of the bag. Many of you will start searching for your soul. Many of you, you understand you're responsible for your soul. Many of you will do the same as what you did with the GANs and with the nano coating, different colors and different things. If you reach the position and the understanding of what I've taught, you start experimenting. The very first experiment for you is very simple. Your soul sits approximately near, very close to your eyes. Try to change the color of your eye with the impression that you give pleasure to another, not for you to see your power, not for you to check your, what I call the strength of the understanding. Try to understand how you can change little by little. This is the beginning. This is how we've taken many races into space. Now is the time for man, where you don't need rockets and you don't need spacesuit. You use the spacesuit of the man, the soul of the man, to dictate the physicality of the man, where you are in charge, where you have control, where you decide. But there's one golden key. You cannot take what is not yours. This is how peace comes. It's not by gun, but understanding according to the fields you create your position. And you understand you cannot take when you are not, and you cannot and you do not carry the strength of positioning yourself in a peaceful way. It's going to be very hard for many of you, many, many times harder. Very few of you will walk the path, and those who become the man of the space. Those of you who can, and in time to come you went and you made the course and you made the coils and then you made everything else to see the field effects. You will start testing your own integrity. You're trying to test your own ethos. You're trying to test your own comprehension of the existence. And if you come to the level of understanding that I'm here to serve the others, where I cannot and I will not dictate my will, you become man of the space. You cannot with your will bend the tree, is life. You cannot see if the dog jumps, is still alive. You can only test yourself because this is the measure you have. You can give and see if the tree flowers in matter of seconds, if it pleases to please you. This is how we make man of a space. Not by training in the swimming pools. We train man in the pool of his own soul. You have to understand how to go, where to go, what to do, and understand that the emotion you feel comes from your soul, not from your physicality. It has been very hard for man to understand this, that they think my emotion comes from this part of my brain. But that's the time and that's the place where the emotion of the soul is translated into the physical part which matches your body. When you have a tear, your leg does not create tears. It comes from the eye. When you feel fear, is the hair or you shrink. Where is it and how is it connected to physicality in that part? So now you understand what you thought it was the feeling and it comes from your brain. It actually comes from your soul. This is the biggest point for a lot. So what you carry with you, with your soul, is what you already have. Only in interaction, what we call with the matter state of
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I think we temporarily lost him there. Sure, he'll be back in just a minute. Thank you, Mark, for the doesn't only happen with the matter state, I think was the last sentence. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's where he was going.
Seen
Hello?
in so many ways.
Hi,
Hello,
Mr.
I'm there.
Keshe.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
back.
it's you left off at something about doesn't only happen in the matter state.
What you mean?
I think that's where you left off about half a minute ago there, before you
Yes.
dropped off.
Yes, we're trying to run two systems and jump from one to another. What it is.
Would you like to do a share screen with the whiteboard? Were you going to do that or no?
Oh, no, it's okay. It can stay as it is.
Okay.
What we need to do is to understand the level of how we change, how we have used and how we can use. Just 1 second. We should continuously hear that we can just put it, somebody can see it. If it flips out, we can flip it. What it is, as I said, in the past, we all what we call the Chinese knew how to make nanomaterial, but we never understood it. We saw how man's intellectual growth came from the time when man discovered the fire. Because why? Now we could convert the matter into gas by fire faster. We burned the meat, we cooked, all sorts of these processes added for us to have extra energy in absorbing it. And that brought us intellect. The intellect is physical matter, is a physical entity. Emotion and what we carry as emotion comes from the soul of the man. And this is what is important. And in so many ways, in the progress and in development of the science of the man, man has come to one point. And this is going to be the biggest point in his life. With what I have taught, what is being taught, especially in past 6 months, is that which one of us will decide to go to the level to become so many ways man of a space, through now understanding the structure of the soul of the man, or the essence of the creation of the man. This is what is going to be important. This is what a lot of these teachings from now on is going to be done. Many of you made cores and coils and looked for the fields. Now you have to run tests with yourself. Can I, through the strength of my wish, strengthen others that their wishes become my wish, which is the peace? Then we don't need no one to sign. Past few days, we've seen pictures on the internet of what they call G20. Those people standing in that picture are the ones you are trying to get walking to the top of Mount Carmel. How many of you in past few days managed to reach that you could tell them we would like you to sign? Can you put that picture of the world leaders, if you have, of the G20, please? If you can find it on the screen. When I looked at this picture on Saturday night, I looked, and in so many ways, I said man will not walk the path of peace because still too busy with other things in his head. It's a very, I left a message in the Universal Council, and I left it in a very discreet way, that look at the way the world leaders are standing. Rick, can you get a picture which is on the net, or it's one of the chat rooms, and you can put it up, please?
Yeah, I'm just finding it now.
Thank you. It's on one of the chat rooms I put in. If you look, this picture says a lot. This picture is the picture which we've been looking for a long, long time. This picture is a print of peace. Your job, my job, is more or less done, because what we see is us who has to take the step to make sure I am peaceful. I change my position. And with it, I bring peace to the others. This picture is literally what humanity has been yearning for more or less 100 years. Economical growth, power of economical growth, substituting power of gun. We have seen the failure of gun beyond imagination with this picture. We have seen how the men of peace, through peace, have taken position. This was our wish. To me, when I looked at this picture, I said there is no need to walk into Mount Carmel. The peace is done. Look the way the world leaders are standing. Look the position of the world leaders, the way they are standing. Look at 2015, when Obama was at the realms of fear and war. This is the picture of the world leaders 2 days ago. If you can get me a picture of 2015 of G20, you will see an amazing contrast. The ones who were center and warmongering now are pushed to the fringe. Never ever in the history of past 100 years an American leader has been side fringe to the side. We don't want any more wars. If you look at past years of G7, G5, G6, G20, G18, American leaders, because of the fear of killing, had the central station in these pictures. Now you see the 2 and 3 men of peace, President Xi of China, standing next to German Chancellor, because she's a host. Next to him, another man of peace, Putin. And they sit right in the center. The warmongering, the people who incited war, you see American president right to the left. I tell you something, when I looked at this picture, some of you can go and find a picture on the news. When we were at the verge, or when we completed the 5+1 negotiation with Iran and the other nations, the position where the American president stands was given to Secretary of State of United States, John Kerry.
Hello, I think
He walked away from the meeting, from the picture. The American Secretary of State would not.
The American Secretary of State would not take the position the president has taken, because he thought that was his position, to be in the center. This is 2005, Obama right in the center. Now we see the change. The nations who promote
15, Mr. Keshe, yeah.
2015. Now you see in other G7s, G20, how the position has changed. The picture of 2017 G20 is the picture of peace, beginning of the. Is where things have started. You wish for peace. Now you see the warmongers have gone to the side. Where President Trump stands, is where Obama's Secretary of State refused to stand and walked up, who will not take a picture. Now the president has taken a picture because nobody is prepared to war. The peaceful nations have taken over. This is Mount Carmel. Look the way the people have stood and positioned themselves. The BRICS are firmly in position. They are peaceful. The nations who pushed for war have been sidelined. You see how the Saudis were at the front line. They're pushed right to the back. You got to understand, when a picture like this is taken, it's negotiated heavily. If you have not been in these kind of conferences, every position of a president, head of a nation, in respect to the center, to the right or to the left, is highly negotiated. It's not that just walk in and they stand and the picture is taken. Position in this picture is the status of the nation. Position of the nation. China is a leading nation, peace and economically. For the first time, China has taken position. And we see the start of the peace process around the world. China does not finance war. It is for us to understand the bigger picture. It's for us to understand how the process, your wish, has become reality. Is for us to understand what we wished for. It has become part of the process. Just look at the picture. Explains a lot. But the beauty of it is something else. It says G20 Germany. Germans started 2 world wars. And now they're sitting at the center of peace. Those steps people are standing is more or less the steps of Mount Carmel. How many of those you think you can bring into peace in Haifa in the next 20 days? Your chances are 0. But how many souls you can change to become peaceful, to walk through the mental state of peace, more or less the whole humanity, if the man decides. Just quiet. Now you see, we've said many times, our wish is our command. We have wished, and we see how world leaders are structuring. In so many ways, I said, if I was American president, I would have never attended G20 this time, because the position is humiliating. Because the man of peace have taken over. This is, I've been in the political and diplomatic world for a long time. I know how they are trained, even how to shake hands and what position to take. Even when there are 2 of them. And now we see, you wish for peace and peace is there. One of the strangest positions in this peace, what it was my wish, is the position of the Turkish leader next to Putin. He's a very key man in the peace in Middle East. Nobody understands his position. There is no one more powerful than him and the key to the success of peace in Middle East. Saudi Arabia as a power of financial power could be right in the front, but they know they just have the money, nothing else they can do. The Turkish leader is extremely one of the strongest men who can force peace, and through his organization, nation and the rest, bring the peace to Middle East. And it's totally separated from the warmongering, where if you go to the past pictures, you see him more towards the warmongers, because they were dictating the position. Now you understand. Start looking at what is there and you see more. Our wish is peace, and now these world leaders will feel what us as human beings will be wishing. We had enough. We had enough of murder and killing on the name of the peace policy by arms. I've been in the world of politics and diplomatic corps for a long, long time. And I know one thing, man has finished with wars. Does not matter how they try to push it, does not matter how they try to do it. The people, to them, is more important to develop their nations than guns or imposition. They have taken over. And in so many ways, when you see these kind of pictures, it gives you the state of mind of the humanity through its leaders. When I saw this, I was in Armen, and it shocked me beyond imagination that how much our wish has become the command. Germans have taken side with the peaceful nations. Germans have taken side with BRICS, and we'll see the change. We see Russia, China, India are standing very close to each other. If you understand, the left on the front row is the communist nations, ex-communist nations, which stands on the left, stands shoulder to shoulder with the Germans. Look at the 2015, the warmongering nations, Britain and America, had the center pace, and they could do with a lot. But BRIC has changed the position. Financial commitment has brought peace. Nations are not prepared money on war. The only people who will spend money on war are those who receive money through what we call oil industry, where it's nothing comes out of the ground, let's do something, keep Americans busy. 120 billion weapon contract with Saudi. Now, we were wishing for peace, we are achieving peace. But let's see what happens in next week, and then we take our position in respect what we're going to do with respect to peace. As I said, it takes time to move people. It takes at least 10 days to 2 weeks to get world leaders even to look at the policy, let alone just because you wish. We are now in the second cycle, second week, and we see what we do by the end of this week. But in the coming week, I try to teach you. I teach you as much as possible, as long as one soul can understand, because through it can teach the other souls the evolution of the increase in the satisfaction of the position of the soul of the man in respect to his environment, which is the planet Earth. Which means through the soul of the man will enforce peace. And once one reaches that point, the rest will do. This is what this is about. I will teach you techniques and methods and physical systems that a lot of you can come into understanding. Our team, especially in Arizona, has been made ready for this. I explained it on a backup piece of paper last night to Armand, and he just grasped the touch of it. He doesn't understand what's about to happen. I'll explain the science behind it, that the rest of you understand the totality in time of it. I gave you a hint with what I read from Arizona last week. Now you understand more of what about to happen. Man needs small support, and we have decided we provide it. You need just a little bit more of understanding to be able to cross that threshold of warmongering. Another week, another 10 days. I see humanity ready the way we are teaching. The time has come for me to teach in a way to change the soul of the man, irrespective of the position of the man. I cannot teach if man is not ready to take. But I have taught enough that I make the man ready to go. It is so easy to get man ready, because in a way, most of the job is done. All the job is done. Everything we wanted to do is completed. It's just, as we say in English, crossing some T's and putting some dots on the I's. The rest is going. The man is ready to become a man of peace. And in so many ways, I have enjoyed taking man through this process. A little bit in understanding and in the confidence, and then the man will take the step. It's just a little bit of, as I said, pushing you lot through, and then you will see. Pushing is not forcing, but giving you the knowledge. This is the biggest problem. Sharing the knowledge the way I have done in past times has brought a lot of pleasure to men of peace. But at the same time, sharing knowledge the way I've done has brought every man equal. This is what it will happen in the next few weeks. If you were wondering what has been done and why he went from there to peace, as I said, you were waiting for the change of the tanks and whatever. In so many ways, I have walked you into peace. I got your attention, and many of you will go that way. Millions of you who listen, especially the Chinese community, you have the knowledge through centuries of wisdom to change the course of humanity, and now you have the president to carry it through. It's the responsibility of the Chinese community to elevate the soul of their presidents for peace, and he will respond. He knows the Chinese community of Keshe Foundation very well, and they are aware of our work, that we want peace. Now it's the job of the Keshe Foundation supporters in China, Chinese speaking, because you have access to that, to support the soul of your leader. He will walk the rest of the nations to peace. Now you understand, past 2 years, how I followed and encouraged peace in China, the work of Chinese. The world peace, the key to it is the Chinese community. And this picture confirms it. This picture confirms it because we've seen it and we have done it. If those of you who understood and understand what is to be said, the two world peace leaders have taken position. And it's for their national spoken language supporters is to transfer directly as a member of the councils through the Chinese community and the Chinese community to their leader. If it's your wish, by the end of this week, we hear the news from Forbidden City. The city which forbids war. The city which forbids animosity. What you see in this picture is what we saw 2 or 3 years ago, and it just took its time to get where it is. Those of you who are supporting the German language and the countries around Germany, in Europe, in different languages, Chancellor has been around and fully aware of the work of the Foundation. At least over 7 years. I know firsthand. When we went to take over the Belgium company, car manufacturing, her government directly offered the Keshe Foundation an incentive to take over, that we could bring the car without engine. I still have the documents somewhere. I still have the correspondence somewhere. We know some 2 years ago, Putin sent a peace message to Doma, and Arman was responsible for communication with Doma. Am I correct, Arman? World leaders know about our work. Now it's time for us to push. Push through our soul and understanding. And I emphasize again, the world peace, the leader will take us through it, has taken his position. Economically, population-wise, and behavior-wise, a man of peace, a nation of peace called China. We take our position in that respect too. The rest will follow. How do you reach your soul? To the point that you can increase or you can control. Or you understand its position and control. Go back to my teachings past week. I'll bring points by points in, and then you will understand more. Go back in the teaching of past couple of last week, somewhere in the middle of last week. I very cheekily but very, very softly brought the point of love. I explained to you, you remember how you fell in love and how that emotion, you fall in love with humanity, which means the giving phase is so you give, when you're in love, you give everything to be with your lover. You travel half of the world, you don't eat food, anything, just to be with what you love. Be a man, be a woman, be a child, be an animal. Now, fall in love with your nation and your leaders, and through it elevate their soul. First of all, fall in love with your own soul, which means elevate it, that becomes satisfied and reaches what it needs. This is where the change will come. This is where is the feeling and emotion we already know. We don't need to be taught. And now that you understand, the emotion comes, the feeling comes from your soul, what are you waiting for? You know how to feed your soul through your heart, or what you call through falling in love or giving. Fall in love with peace. Fall in love with the totality of peace, not the name of peace. I fall in love so easily that I do not know when it's not falling out of love. Because to me is giving. Beautiful tree worth falling in love with. A beautiful being. Try not to see the physicality, but try to see the soul. That's the time when you can elevate the entity. Every man, with what I've taught past few weeks, has the same power as Blessed Christ when he raised the dead. You can raise the dead in the sense of humanity to become life in peaceful way. Wake them not from blindness, don't wake them from death, but elevate them to your soul, that they understand the beauty of peace. You know how you fell in love and how it feels. Now fall in love with peace, and then you understand. Let us do one thing. Working in different directions does not work so good. But when all men put all their efforts in one point, they see the result. In the core team, and I've seen the members of the Earth Council are doing what we tested and you understood in the past. We concentrated on elevating the soul of certain leaders which we wanted to do things with, that they could bring them to peace. Now we see with this with this picture, we have a leader.
We have a person who we can put our effort to.
We have a leader where we can concentrate our effort to one direction. We have found the man of peace or men of peace in this picture. Do you want to work on 199 or work on 2? Let's put the piece of bad memories of the past, how men for so many centuries destroyed each other, Let's cut through the barriers as one nation and choose one leader for this nation, that we know through it we can push for peace. Let's choose a Chinese leader as the person who we all ask to bring peace about. And through it the rest will follow. We have two good men next to him, Putin and the others. Instead of working so scattered in different languages, as we are looking for one nation, one planet, one race, let us as all as one race raise the soul of the Chinese president to the level and request from him in every means and ways, writing whatever, to take the chalice of peace and brings humanity in. I have taken my position. It depends on you. It's the effort which we have put into peace that is what we see in this picture. It's not coincidental that this picture and this conference, the way we see it, has just happened to be in the first week of us planning to bring man for peace. I request all the Chinese supporters, all the Keshe Foundation supporters, write, give from your soul, and encourage all the Chinese embassies around the world for President Xi, His Excellency President Xi, to take position as a world leader, as a peace man of peace. And call upon him to call for world peace meeting, next conference for peace. It's the job of the Chinese community to run away from the fear of what it might happen. It brings nothing but glory to to mankind as one nation. Then we can divert and convert all the tools of war into tools of peace in every other nation. I support President Xi for peace. Many of you were planning to write to too many leaders, but when he decides, the rest will follow. How do you do it? Learn how you fall in love. Remember how you fell in love and how you can elevate your own soul that reaches the soul of a president. I've seen in the councils, I support this president, that president. Still support the presidents you support through your soul and your emotion, and you can extend your extension of the emotion to it and add President Xi as a common denominator. And next to him, His Excellency President Putin. In every base, you need a woman. It's time to move, and we don't have much time. If we can save one more bullet not to be shot that a child loses his father, or a father loses his son, we have achieved a lot. I'll go back on the teaching of last week. Fall in love with peace and the emotion of the peace, because that feeling comes from your soul. We need to understand, once we achieve this point, it comes the mass teaching and education of the man into space. This is the key. This is prerequisite to opening of the space. There is no other way. We need to understand how we can absorb the energies of this planet which are weak into our heart, to fall in love with
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Or to look at the totality of our physical structure, you see something very strange. The strangest point with it is that look where your heart sits, and look what is in that position. A big lump of cartilage, not bone, not flesh, no meat, but the essence of both, of the soul and physicality. What you can absorb, what you can receive, and what you can direct to take are the fields which are only the fields of peace. If man decides to walk that path. Those of you who understand this, understand what they've got to do. Because the fields you receive, the way your brain filters different fields for the strength, your heart filters only the emotion which comes from love. Love comes from the physical part of the man, which feeds itself through the heart to the brain of the man or to the soul of the man. In past couple of days, I received something very interesting. If you go and if you have a problem, you can go onto the internet. If you had doubts about the position of the soul of the man and it's strange to you, go and find it, and the easiest place is internet images of the brain scan, and you will find it. To you was something, it was said. Now you know what you are looking for. Surf the net, and you will see the souls which are separated to come to separation of the physicality at the point of death, or the souls which are active in the physicality of the body of the man. You will find the soul of the person which the picture was taken of. Strange, but you never noticed. And what most of our scientists never understood. You will find it in those who have not managed to understand the totality. The soul is within the structure, but you can see it in the background. Those who have come to the point of separation and soul has been ready to depart or separate, you see it as a totality, as an entity. Or those who have managed to evolve to the point of maturity, you can see their souls too. Now you will read the X-rays and MRIs the way I have done for past 30, 40 years. You will find the soul of the man, the position of the soul of the man. And the beauty of it is, they're all in pictures. It's all in pictures. And if you don't find it, I can bring it to you and I can show it to you. To you, it was something there. Now you can see it, confirm its existence. It's going to shock a lot of you. The shape, the strength of the soul will show you the behavior of the man. And then you can homogenize it, you can unify it with yours. You give so much to it that it changes yours. I tell you something very strange. You see these world leaders' pictures? I know 3 of them have cancer.
Okay, I think Mr. Keshe has temporarily dropped out again. Should be back shortly. Hello, Mr. Keshe, are you back yet? Don't see him in the list right now, so I think still waiting for him to come back in.
Thank you very much. You remember to give me a voice. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, somebody forgot to put me in the other channel on. So what we see, as I said, One of the guys in the front door has a cancer. He's fighting for his life, but he still stands there as nothing is wrong. This is how world leaders are. And as I said, I know why. In all three cases I've been asked to participate, because there is no other solution in the other dimensions. And these people, the best of the best is on the table. Strange enough, they all know their time is short, but they all have to understand it's long enough to create peace on this planet. As I said, I teach and I go from one to another continuously, that we learn how to cross. We learn how to be able to understand what our soul can do, how we can reach it, and how we can use it to reach those who are decision makers. Peace, as I said, comes in one direction. And it comes when a man finds peace within himself, with his own soul. And it is rather important for us to understand the totality of what us as individuals can do and can give, that brings that position of peace. As I said, I go from physicality to the world leaders and the peace, because now, gradually over the next week, we can see the connections, how everything is connected to each other, how we have allowed and we have not considered the totality. Now we have to do that. It's not that it's not achievable. Parties. Now what you understand and what we will see, in so many ways, we need a position to understand we are the game changers. And this position will come across. At today and tomorrow, or sometimes in past week, you thought is erratic, it's going one way another, and it does a lot. We had to spread the knowledge and the seed of the knowledge that we could allow all of us to go through the path to gradually understand that we are the game changers. as human beings, as people. Up to now we thought we have to wait for guns and others. Now we understand that the totality has become part of us. We are it. We are the decision makers. It's our soul which will elevate the soul of the others to achieve what we need. In a way, there is no more filter. And in a way, we all need to understand this, that we are in the embassy of peace, and we are in the need to understand one thing. It's us who are the peacemakers. And it's us that in time we have to come to the position that what we wish will become the totality. And it's us who will dictate the condition. It's us who has to be in position of understanding of the conditions we have created. Man was force-fed to accept peace through guns. Now man can be taught, peace can be bought through the soul of the man. Because at the end is the physicality of the man which decides the strength of how much you fall in love. How much we decide to fall in love with peace. How much we decide to become blind to nationhood and become one nation. And these guys you see on this picture, you have made them out of business. Because they don't become the world leaders, they become ambassadors of peace for the section which they have, or people have chosen to be. You'll find out once the two world leaders walk the path of peace, the rest will follow. Because at the end of it, economical power will force the condition. Now you understand what I said many times ago. How could be the most bankrupt nation in the world be a leader in the world? Now the order is correct. The richest nations have taken, and with their wealth they can support peace. The most bankrupts have moved to the fringes, and those who supported that behavior. Now we can move, and we have the audacity to take this step. Now you have to understand how to fall in love with peace. It's going to be a hard job. Especially for those who've been fighting so long, they have to find a new way. Maybe we can teach them, you've been fighting for separation, now fight for unity. Fight to make one out of human race. Let's see which army races more to accomplish more for the next door neighbor than for its own territory. And then we'll see how we'll change. Let's say when the Chinese army goes into India and helps the Indians to get to the level of Chinese, and then the Indian army does the same with Pakistan, trying to elevate them to the economical position better than them. and then it follows. The beauty of it is, when the China and India as a BRIC work together, God helps, half of the humanity is in the peace move. Not only by name, by numbers, by wealth too. The BRICS have won the peace. And it's our job as human race to support them. For those of you who don't know what BRIC is, Brazil, India, Russia and China. The new economical force, which now they have replaced dollar. And Germany has taken side clearly in past 6 months. That we support and we go with the BRIC. Because war has brought nothing but misery for her nation and the rest of us. Oh, you understand how and where we are moving. I need a pillow. Amaja, just give me a pillow. I wrap it in the pillow, then when it falls out, I can pick it up. Yeah, that's a good one. It won't go in there. But when it goes out, we can't see it. The things we have to do for the peace of man. In so many ways, we come to the point that you understand what the teaching of past week and past 6 months is coming to this point. Try to absorb the war energies, the warmongering energies, through your soul and convert it into the peace energy, through love of man. It's very easy. Now you understand, going back all the teaching in the past few months, that every field has a strength and every emotion has a strength. The strength of the peace is so much more powerful because it carries the strength of love. And the gravitational point of peace is hateism and war. This is what you did not know. To be able to give, we always said you have to receive. And the opposite side of war is peace. And the energy of it is exactly on the opposite strength. When a man's knowledge comes to operation, and they can measure these strength of emotion through the soul of the man, they will see what a puzzle. How did human race switch to the other side instead of the other side? It's very easy. There is a combination of the fields on this planet keeps on switching. It goes more to the copper where it sits next to the zinc. And this is the mayhem we have. And applies to all the beings on this planet. As I said before, it was something slightly wrong, went wrong on this planet, and it's the composition of the minerals of this planet. And there is a correction element in it. And the beauty of this, now the mankind has found the fault line, as we call it. But because of its proximity and the position of it,
Those which are in a physical dimension can be extended or added to become the physical side. Then itself converting to its emotional level. This is in so many ways what we've been looking for. This is what in so many ways we've been looking for. This is in so many ways what we can accomplish as one race. In the afternoon teaching, I go into the physical structure of the system, where we expand more on the totality of the fields which the man needs in elevation of his soul and confirmation of his existence to confirm and bring about peace. Many of you have seen this system in Rome. Many of you have seen physically this system coming through. But now I explain the science of the universe within it. And then you understand how close man has come, not only to elevate peace within the human race, but within himself, and with it, make man ready for the deeper space. We bring the physical structure with the emotional structure, with the totality of understanding how collectively we can bring change about. And I go back again. My dearest Chinese friends, start the move. The rest will follow. Request in writing and through the pen and through your soul that Chinese leader takes the position as a world leader for peace. And up to now he has done so. The same with the rest of the Keshe Foundation supporters. Ask one man to lead, and he will. It's our wish as a race, and we will achieve it. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. There's, see here, there was a couple of questions. There's a question from BJ. Originally, you were speaking about the soul and the creation of the soul. And BJ asks, at what month does the soul enter the fetus? And are you saying the soul is created at inception?
You have to understand what we call soul is a central field force of any entity. Man has given it an English word language, the soul. Different nations, different cultures call it different names. But in fact, when it takes the central position of balance fields that all the entities within it receive enough as to their point of satisfaction, then that point is called the soul of the entity, whatever be it. Even a tree has a soul. And as I said many times in the writing of Baha'u'llah's name, even a stone has a soul. Because if you understand the way the field forces work, they need a central point that all fields come to and centralize themselves in respect to. And we call that You call it central control, you call it central line, you call it the black hole, you call it the soul, is all the same thing. Man has chosen different name for it, but it doesn't change in essence the reality of one thing. It's that which has a center, is that which creates the interaction, is that which controls the totality to be just and equal. In the system I introduced this afternoon, in the second part of the teaching, you will stand a lot more. You will understand massive amounts more. How man needs no food in space, how man can get rid of that sphere of what has been his sphere of his existence. When you have an egg, or when you have a sperm, they already have a central field force which keep them together, which dictate the physicality shape of them, the strength of them. The soul of the man dictates the body of the man, the physicality of the man. So does the sperm, so does the egg. When the two come together, they have to find a point that they can find balance forces and create a new center for the totality. And that force, as it comes together, it absorbs more and more energy from the liquid of the ocean of the life of the mother. Maybe one of the most beautiful parts of the creation, the nursery of the soul of the creation. That's why mothers are so respected and loved, because they bring that condition that a soul can come together, not so much the physicality. And in that position, the two, like two magnets trying to find a balanced position, they create a dynamism. And in dynamic condition, they absorb more because the center now is heavy, if you remember, pulls to itself. Because of its gravitational field, they try to find balance. And in pulling more energy from the liquid of life of the mother, they absorb more. Now because they absorb more, they have to divide to keep the balance, the division of the cells, because they absorb more. Then divide because they have to be the same size, the same shape, that they could keep the balance. It comes to the point that the two souls which start the system plus the energy which come, they suddenly merge and become one. And that is the point of the establishment of the soul of the man. From that point on, the physicality, everything else decided by this center. How much it takes from the soul, the liquid of the life of the mother, and from the environment beyond the boundary of the mother's body. It's not just what is in that liquid. It takes from the totality of the strength of the environment of the universe. This is the narrow-mindedness of the man if he thinks it's just in there. The field is so strong. If you go back to the teaching of the last week, which I said the center is connected to the creator and the center is connected to the universe and the unicos and the galaxy and the rest. So when that center is created, it dictates the totality of the balance near and far. So when the two souls of the two parts which come together find a balance to become one, that's the establishment of the soul of the man. Because now it works as one to be equal and balanced with the totality what it has been brought together. Which month, which day, when it happens, man will find out very soon. Because at that point, the totality will have a center. When a separation has come and a new life to be started, that center decides the totality. The emotion of the mother, the emotion of the father, the emotion of the totality of the life which depends on it. In the animal kingdom, like birds or others, they decide because emotion of the other souls, we need more male or we need 4 female, and even is controlled that the ratio stays, that there always continuity. This is how finely it's tuned, and man has never understood. Those communities in the human race who have evolved to understanding of the need for balance, they decide their sexuality as a puberty. Go back to United Nations and ask to open the file of this tribe. I've spoken about it many times. Look at the way suddenly we see so much males or females in one bird or one animal increases, and then we understand later on what happened in it, because they decided totality. So when the soul of the man or any creatures on this planet or beyond is decided, it decided on the balance of the totality, is not it anymore. This is the selfishness of the man who has brought man to think that's it. Think of something. A lot of you brings you home in one sentence. How many times in your life have come across the word? He's paying back for what his father or mother or the nation is paying back for what the fathers of the nation have done. What does it mean in essence? It means the soul have decided. Otherwise that child, that person, that dog, that cat, that bird has no say in it. Partially he decides, but partially it's decided that this is the balance of the other conditions which was created in the past. I speak a lot about the creation of the soul, but has no time. When the total energy balance has come to be, that every cell within that cluster is satisfied and receives enough that it can give more than receive more, that it can continue with the cycle of division, that's the point of the creation of the soul. Irrespective of the creature anywhere in the universe. And I go back to a lot of things. It says, pray for your children 20 years before their birth. It means to give to that is elevated to the level that is balances. It finds the totality of the balance at the inception. Maybe somehow you understand why we get our children at a young age to make prayers. They pray for their own souls of their own children in the time to come. I made man to make children that they may love me. In a way, I invest in my own soul in the time when it comes to the vision of me. Now you tell me, when the soul of the man, which month, which day is done. If the scientists become mature enough and understand what to look for in time, they can tell you the soul is done. And then we say hallelujah. The seed for another universe or a star has started. Any other question?
Okay, there's another question, Mr. Keshe. Do you believe in karma, such as in old souls and new souls?
All souls exist. They never get destroyed. Any man who says that there is no soul old or new, the minute you're born, you're old, because the new one is to be born. In the dimension of the souls, there is no time limit. It's man who's made it. The sun is the sun, and it shines. Is the sun today any brighter or lower than a million years ago? It's man who's created these names and phrases for him to confirm he knows a little bit more. But in fact, it's all the same. Any other question? We don't need to go to 3 hours. If we don't have, we leave it. The time we take off, or we finish early, or after the teachings, after even afternoon sessions, don't leave it. Not anymore. When we stop, your job stops. I teach, and you bring the forces together that you're happy. Don't switch off and walk away. Oh, that was another. Oh, it was something nice. No, it's not enough anymore. Now I do something about it comes in. My soul, my intention, my pen, my computer, other groups. Now we need to ask. Now we know we have a leader to take us through to do the peace. Nation with financial backing, nation with the leaders peaceful, nation whose plan and work has been peaceful worldwide. We have not seen Chinese army anywhere shooting any bullets, have we? We're dealing with a peaceful nation. Russians have fired, Americans have fired, and the rest of them. They built a wall not to have a war. And now they build economical power that they don't need to war. Their power, financial position dictates their strength. When you walk off today, tomorrow, this week, make 1 million emails to every Chinese citizen, to every Chinese embassy. We want peace, and we want President Xi to be our leader to peace. Take humanity to the next step. Right to the Forbidden City. We have selected you to be our man of peace, and we would like to take the nation, the world, as one nation to peace. We bless his soul. And you know how to do it through your own soul, extended that it goes beyond the boundary of your physicality, and it's a soul of peace with loving. Then you understand it'll be achieved much faster than you thought. I remember one word of a Chinese man which affected me very much. He said, you know, in our country we never think of anybody assassinating our leaders and whatever, and they are free. But in the West you're always worried. If there is no other question, we finish for this morning. This afternoon, we go into the physical understanding of the systems. For those of you who want to understand what is after peace, what systems will be and what it will be, if those who choose to go in the physical dimension, and those who want to bring peace in the direction of totality, in a way that we can create a balanced field for all elements of the physicality of the man. Are there any other questions, or shall we call it a day? I have taught a lot, and if you understood, this morning we have taken man directly to the path of peace. From now on, it depends on you. It's up on you to now bring that home. We encourage the rest, but we choose one to lead us to that point, and the rest will follow. As a man of universe, I have chosen the soul of the man which lead man to peace. Now it depends on you how you choose yours. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, there was a question from Rodrigo who asks, what role do the feminine and masculine energy play in bringing balance into this dimension?
One is gravitational and one is magnetical. We need the man to give for a woman to receive, that the cycle of life goes on. The alkalineness, what you call it, is the condition of the creation coming together. And if the world of science ever tests, you'll find the womb of the woman the most alkaline condition in the universe. Now you understand. It collects, it gathers. It's exactly like if you look at the boxes of your CO2. In an acidic condition, you spread everything, you open up everything. In the alkalineness, which is the salt inside the box, you gather everything and comes the totality of the gases. It's the same, so be it with the womb of the mother. It's a collector of the energies of the universe and the balancer of it. In the pictures I created this afternoon, and hopefully we have Arizona with us, we have to get somehow, or we have some pictures that we can share. We see how the new systems create that condition of totality of the energy. And all you need is to create what I call absorption that leads to that creation of life.
What about the idea, BJS? So if a soul is created in lust rather than love, that there may be less of the feminine in that
Said
soul?
is create. Nobody said it's done with lust. The wording is wrong.
Okay.
The two give to create. When you put a content of an egg and a sperm together, doesn't matter what creatures, what animal, whatever. One gives to satisfy the one who receives, and one who receives gives to satisfy the one who gives. In trying to find a balance which leads to the creation of life. Go back to one of the teachings I did long time ago regarding the creation of life in an egg, in a chicken egg. The white and yellow are together all the time. When you create a condition of the different separation, if you look where the egg of the cock goes and stays between the two fine position layers where the life starts, flow of the fields to bring balance leads to creation of life.
Would not the conditions, the external fields of say a loving environment compared to a not loving environment would make a difference to the connection and growth of
Of
that
course it
entity?
does. It doesn't. Of course it does, but not that much. Because part of it is set. What happens if a child is created out of rape or dedication of two parents wanting a child?
It
A
doesn't
lot.
mean that child is marked for the rest of their life, kind of thing. But they might have.
It's not marked. It's just that the fields which are absorbed. It's the fields which are there. It's the way we just try to justify our own doing, which is the wrong thing. I was explaining a situation to armament this morning for our own satisfaction of physicality. We do a lot of harm, and then we do, when it comes, we see it in our own uh, structure of our own life, but we never consider it. I explained why in conditions, a woman who is not happy or has been through whatever traumas or whatever condition does not want to give to life, what does it do? It creates a breast cancer. Why does a man create a prostate cancer? Why those who do not want to give life but they are forced to give life create the part which is not theirs, and we get handicapped children in so many ways because the decision inside them has decided. We've seen this in the special cases, not in all cases. A woman who did not want to live, multiple rapes by the grandfather, creates 4 children which are all 4 totally mentally handicapped.
Mr. Keshe. Sorry, go ahead.
We decide partially in what we put in, but that's our emotion which decide, not what is when the two is put together. We see the loving parents who want to have a child, they do everything, and when a child is born, they put everything into it. And we see what we call it, the spoiled rats or very geniuses come out of it. Depends how much they can control the environment. Those of you who are parents, you know what it means. We fall in love crazy with our children. And for that, we give them a lot. They carry part, we carry most of ours to feed them. If parents understand how much love they give to the children affects their soul level in so many ways, and they have to know how much to give, they will create perfect children in so many ways. The problem is we haven't been taught, we've just been left in the wild to grow. If your thoughts is like going to school, then we learn how to create perfect lives, perfect souls. And this is the job of these teachings. Those of you who get touched understand this technology and what it means, what we're teaching in the past few weeks, you will change not only your soul, you change the soul of your children. You bring just children up, you bring children who understand. And then because they understand, becomes part of their ethos, part of their living. I'm not teaching just for you to listen. The teaching has done, and it's gone across the universe. My voice is not limited to man, because it goes through my soul. It's understanding that now we're only preparing man to join the universal community. We're preparing the universal community to accept the elevation of theirs and accepting man as part of their structure. Because up to now, who wants a bunch of animals in, as I said, but now we're changing. There will be no animals. Because by teaching, we are changing the soul of the man. We're inspiring to inspire peace. And this is where the strength of the foundation comes from. We are men of peace, men as a human race. And in that position, we teach the others. And this is the process that started. There is no stopping it. Man will not go back to warmongering. Doesn't matter how much they bark. The process has started because now every element to achieve world peace is on hand. Doesn't matter who speaks about Third World War and this war and that war. We've seen it. It's cutting right through. You put aside this mayhem in Syria and what they're trying to stick to the Islamic world, the rest of the world compared to 30 years ago is very peaceful. At one time we had 50 wars going on because everybody was trying, like dogs marking their territory. But all those dogs don't have much finances anymore. And if the Islamic world matures so rapidly, there will be no more. They won't let them to be used as a tools for the others to sell arms. I wonder if the American president will not agree the $120 billion arm deal, refuses it, says, okay, Saudi Arabia, you want arms, pay us, we build everything for humanity, and you have the benefit of it. With arms you get no benefit, at least this way we can make an income. I promise you the Saudis will jump on it. The most loving money nation I ever know. If somebody tells the Saudis the 120 million you paid for arms will not bring you a penny, we are prepared to convert it for you to factories, to agriculture, and you have more benefit from it, and there is no enemy called Iran, and there is no enemy called Qatar, and we are all the same, Saudis will buy it. It's just for us to elevate the heads of the states, and we started, and President Xi, His Excellency, can do so. This is the way to be, to show what is wrong. Armies do not bring any money, unless you're going to rob. I need armies to rob, so I keep. There is no need borders. I've said many times. We see no borders in Europe. Have there anything happened in the past 30 years? We see no borders in the United States, 50 states. There are 50 nations, more or less. In 29 nations, we see no army. I remember in 1980s, 82, 83, when I went to Holland to go to northern France, I had to stop at every border, police, everything, passports. Now we go from French border all the way to the Russian border, nothing. We go through Austria to Czech Republic, all the way up, everywhere. Nobody checks passport. This has to become the rule of the planet. There is something there, we collect taxes different than you do. If nobody's happy, it goes across to the other side. But no guns. And this has to come, what I call the true peace dividend, that world leaders are shown, why do I spend 120 billion to buy guns for a few people to have a job? I spend 120 billion to create a lot of jobs that I get some benefit out of it. A fool will say no. I don't think Saudi Kingdom knows this. I had a meeting with the ex-education minister of the Saudi royal family a couple of years ago. And I made myself clearly to the advisors. We stayed in the same hotel for a month. And they were scared wits that they're in a hotel with an Iranian. With their family, and my family literally meters away from each other. We had to share a space together. Enemies, and then we talked, and they said, you two look like splitting brothers. When I spoke to the advisors, it was amazing. We love each other the same, we respect each other the same. It's just that if somebody tells to these people, the money you put in creating war and separation can bring more income, Rothschilds will change their position. They've been working on robbery, not the investment in peace is much more dividend on it. And we can do it. Now we have made, go and approach every peace movement you know from today, when I finish, when you finish, every, as Rick said, mechanical engineering of Association of Canada, whatever they are, and say we would like you to write to President Xi to take the head and we want to go for peace, world peace. He can dictate it. For the first time we have a head who can force it. As I said, those who incite war have been cited, very well incited. We see peace movement and the leadership, international leadership has taken shape, economically and position-wise. We need to tell them it's time. We become the catalyst for peace. The Keshe Foundation and the supporters of Keshe Foundation are in tens of millions. We have to become the catalyst. We have to tell them it's time now. We want it. We are prepared to do it. It brings a lot. And it all depends on you. If for you going up the steps of the Mount Carmel is important, Universal Council members, you draw a peace letter, write it to President Xi, the same as you done to Universal House of Justice. It's time to do, and we need the support of Chinese Keshe Foundations worldwide, right across. Now you understand why we were supporting the Chinese community so heavily past 2 or 3 years. Because we knew this point is about to come, and now has arrived.
Keshe.
Yes.
Good day, Mr. Keshe. Jalal here.
Yes, General.
Can I ask about the belief system? What about the belief system? If one nation have belief system that if you are not part of us or from this belief, we have right to invasion you. We have right to take all your energy from all different kind of things. How we change this? And you know who I'm speaking about.
No, speak clearly. We don't speak in codes anymore. I think we passed that.
Okay. In the Islamic belief system, they said if you are not from this Islamic belief, we allow to...
Your enemy.
Yeah.
You call the kafir.
Yeah. And yes.
You know, let me tell you, am I correct? This is what you're talking about?
Yes, my Mr. Keshe. It's about...
You know, the Jewish word have the same. They call it Quim, which means non-believers. In other religions and countries have the same. In Arabic, you call the Persians Ajam. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, it depends on the intelligence of the man to understand how can somebody I love and we share everything be enemy. It's not a path of belief, it's how much money goes into the pocket of those who can do more. I've seen some interesting things coming up. The head of the most close advisor to Pope in Vatican in Australia is arrested for sexual abuse a couple of weeks ago. I wonder where he has advised the Vatican to invest their money if he's in that way inclined. To more child pornography? To more children abuse on the name? And now we've seen another batch comes from another part of the Catholic Church where orgies has happened in Vatican. What's coming out in Rome newspapers. They all use stupidity of the man for their own pleasures and they laugh at it. I was in Europe very recently and I had some most fantastic thing, but it makes a lot of laugh, but a lot of sense how the prejudice has come. They said, in this country we have two types of Christians, the Catholic and the other one. You know what's the difference? I said, no. The difference, our listeners know what I'm talking about if you're from that part of the world. The ones who are of this path, the priest marries, so he has one wife. The one who is the Catholic part, the whole village has one husband, because the Catholic priest is the husband of everybody else. And there's a lot of things coming out in their behavior. That the forcing a man not to live a normal path of life, to love, to care, has forced him to do abusive things and cover it on the name of confession and everything else. So, our belief has come in us, we allow how much they abuse us. It's the level of abuse we've allowed. Take the best part of the religions. I always said, even the people who came to me with different diseases or with different abuses, I said, take one thing you enjoyed out of even the abuse, if there was, and live by it because it wasn't your fault. It should happen the same to human race. We have to take the best of what all these abuses, different path of beliefs or nationhood has brought us, and rejoice and develop it. And all this has happened to us has brought one thing. Human race is a peaceful race within it. We have to stop us other abusing it with us and the others. And that abuse has brought us point of today of maturity. Now we understand it's time for peace. And this picture on the screen is shouting it. You see, even the picture of the American president is abnormal, but he had to accept the position. He's outcasted, he's gone. The beauty of it will be if we see that president next time in G20 standing next to President Xi as man of peace, but he will not sign any American government or any American organization to sell any arms as an embargo. They do Americans an embargo on Iran, cannot, no American company can sell arms to Iran. I want to know when a American president become mature enough to sign a contract, no American company can sell no arms nowhere. Instead of one nation, they boycott the whole planet. And ask the Saudis to give us the money to create job for what we lose. We'll give you more profit. It comes as a maturity of the man. And we reach that. Prejudices is what they created in us for their own benefit. I tell you something, as I've said that many, many times. I come from my grandmother's side, both sides in a strange way. On the mother's side, I'm Kohen. On my father's side, I'm Sayyid. Which is very strange, both ends of two, both prophets. But the strangest thing is, when my uncles from Tel Aviv stayed with us in Manchester, and we couldn't get the kosher meat, they said, we eat halal, it's the same thing, it's just a different prayer. They know inside themselves that the truth is the same. And they came from Tel Aviv. When my aunt died, my uncle paid $25,000 to make a handwritten Torah in her name. And when they were in Manchester, they ate halal meat because it was the same as kosher. That's how ridiculous prejudices are. I've seen it firsthand. I live with it all my life. There is no prejudice. We just make it to fit us that we can sell arms. The day will come when the American president says there shall be no arms sale out of the borders of the United States, and no one in the United States wants to fight. We are the beginning of the peace. We see that in China. We see that in Russia. They had to increase arms to stop the armongering, and we've seen with the change of what happened with North Korea in the past few weeks, a few months, a lot of people who are planning are sidelined. This picture is an amazing picture for the beginning of peace. The most bankrupt nation has been put on the fringes. And the most richest have taken position and the direction. If you see, all the most powerful nations have cornered to the side of the left. And the most not important ones, just to be somebody next to you, has been put towards President Trump. Prime Minister of England, the Japanese Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister, Xi, Turkish Prime Minister, President Putin. Saudi Arabia has taken side with BRICS. Those of the lesser importance are gathered just to hand support. You're not alone standing, Mr. Trump. We're just there to support you out. We hope we see President Trump very soon next to, but with the right attitude. And the only one who can change is President Xi of China and Putin. And they both are fully aware of the Keshe Foundation are working in the peace movement. We have become a powerful peace organization and we push it through because we know our wishes is our command, our wishes are coming to reality. Go to all the peace movements and say we are supporting one, and this is the reason of it. Show the picture. This picture should be a sign of peace for humanity. And let's see where we go. Don't stop, because if we stop, we fail, and we cannot fail this time. Thank you very much. We come back at 2 o'clock for teachings, but this time I teach you the systems. I show you the systems, you have to build it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, that brings to a close the morning session for day 6 of the Blueprint for Peace for Humanity for Monday, July 10th, 2017. Thank you everyone for attending, and please stay tuned for the 2 o'clock session, which will be happening in about an hour and a half from now. Okay, we'll end the live stream for now.